I am 165 years old and still growing. I've seen the best of God's children, and I've seen the worst of God's children. I've been on the mountain high. I've been in the valley low. I am 165 years old, and I'm still growing. I am St. Matthew's Baptist Church in Raleigh, North Carolina. And quite frankly, I'm an African-American church that was born in the slave balcony of a white church. You see, my genesis began at New Hope Baptist Church, just right down the road from me. And whether the impetus for giving me a platform of my own was a true desire and knowledge that all God's children deserve a place to worship, or whether it was just separation, I don't know. But it was God's plan for me, St. Matthew's Baptist Church, to continue to grow. I started off on a little plot of land, a little cotton field, just a four-wall shack with a hole in the floor where on cold mornings we'd bring in wood and we'd light a fire to warm ourselves. And that was my beginning. I look behind me, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with old churches in the South, but there's always a graveyard back there. And I look back in my history, I see those saints whose sweat, whose dedication, whose love of God that I stand upon today, that brought me through 165 years and allowed me today to still be standing. You see, I was the gathering place for my community. I was the place where we could go and we could be men and women and not boys and girls. It's where I could see that God had a plan for me, and I could see how that plan should grow, not only for me, but my children, my children's children, and the children after them. I still stand in the same place, but I've changed over the years. I've changed from being a gathering place of slaves to being a gathering place of educators and ministers, from being a gathering place of educators and ministers to being a gathering place for doctors and lawyers. That little wagon trail that used to flow in front of me, that brought the members to gather there, it's now a major highway that symbolizes the growth and progression to the future. We've stood the challenges of the Great Depressions. Before then, Reconstruction. I was a safe haven during the Civil Rights Movement where we could gather and we could plan. I felt the oppression of the street in front of me being blocked because people didn't want us to gather and see what God had for us. I've had my missteps along the way. I haven't always done what God's church should do. Sometimes I thought it was about me. Oh, I'm a big, beautiful edifice now. No longer that four-wall shack with a fire pit in the floor, but a community center, an educational center, a computer wing. But I learned as I grew that it was not about that. It's about what does God want me to do for the community? How do I change in order to serve the community? No longer is it about fish fries and choir day. As we look out, most churches are getting smaller, are trading in size. The millennials are not coming to church today. What is my new role? You see, I'm 165 years old, but I'm still growing. I'm growing into a new role now, and I have to discover what that new role is. I used to be a little old church by the railroad track. Now, I need to be a resource for the community as it grows. I'm 165 years old, but I have to keep growing. I have to keep understanding and looking at the needs of my people and see how, as a church, I fit those needs. So I look behind me, and in that graveyard, I see my history. I see the struggle. I see the strength. I see the love of God, of those saints who went before me. I look ahead of me, and I see what used to be a wagon trail is now a major highway that symbolizes my path to the future. And of course, I look above me, and I see God always covering me with his grace and his mercy. I am St. Matthew's Baptist Church in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm 165 years old, and I'm still growing. And as I let my mind roll back, and I can see a little old church sitting by the railroad track. Just a little shabby old place we used to sing Amazing Grace. But talk about a good time, Lord, yeah, a mighty, mighty good time. Folks would come from everywhere, traveling over rocks and reels, and they set up a little old tent in the old cotton field. Very little money was raised, but many, many souls were saved. And talk about a good time, Lord, yeah, a mighty, mighty good time. I'm 165 years old. I'm St. Matthew's Baptist Church in Raleigh, North Carolina. Thank you.